Can you dream of a world immune to cancer? Hello everyone, my name is Nick and I'm the host of the annual live stream for The Cure, where content creators and podcasters from around the world join me to raise money for the Cancer Research Institute and immunotherapy research, which is training the body's immune system to fight against all forms of cancer. Over the past 7 years, thanks to the power of indie podcasters and the indie podcasting community and listeners just like you listening to this right now, we have raised over $90,000. And as I record this now, the 8th annual live stream for The Cure is barreling down upon us really quickly in just about 2 weeks. So join us please from May 29th through June 1st for 48 hours of amazing content from people all over the world and help us fight for a world immune to cancer. I'll now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Thank you so much. And together, we can make a difference.
Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
Runia, vienesme, ideal das Runia. Περιμένουμε να συναντήσουμε τον σπουδαίο Archimedes.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd.
And I'm Sal.
And tonight we're taking a trip through history, the 5th time. That's right. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Let's talk about that.
Hey! Fire it up! 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 Fire it up!
Manster, what do we got for production information on the 5th film in the Indiana Jones film series, which, by the way, if you want to go back and listen to prior Pint episodes, we did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as a triple T.
The best one.
The best one. And we did Raiders of the Lost Ark so far. So this is the third.
We did Raiders?
We did Raiders.
I must not have been on. Was I on
You
that?
were 100% on it, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what this 5th movie, there's only 4. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or are you kicking Crystal Skull out?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I've never heard of it.
All right.
I do remember doing Raiders now. That's when I said I was never a huge Raiders fan when all the other guys were jerking off over it.
That's right.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny came out at Cannes Film Festival, Cannes, on 5/18/2023. And then in the U.S.
We're hitting it literally about at a year mark.
Yeah, we're just about at a year.
Okay.
What is, tomorrow is a year since then.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Indiana.
And in the U.S., it came out on June 30th, 2023.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was going to say, I thought this movie came out in July or so of last year. Okay.
Guess it ran in Cannes first. It has a runtime of 154 minutes. Which is about... I won't say.
I can see where that's going.
It's too long.
It's admittedly, without getting into our ratings or anything, it's too long.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Directed by James Mangold. He is a director, producer, screenwriter, all that. He's famous for Copland, Girl Interrupted, Walk the Line, Wolverine, Logan. Some pretty damn good movies in there.
Yes, he is.
Recently, Ford versus Ferrari. Screenplay by Jez Butterworth. That's a great
That's the best name ever.
Such a good name.
It is. He sounds like a really fat kid.
Yeah. He of the Mrs. Butterworth fame. He also did Edge of Tomorrow, Black Mass, Ford versus Ferrari. Edge of Tomorrow, great.
Still have
movie.
not seen that.
Such a good movie. Did you ever see that?
No.
It's also called, what, Live, Die, Repeat?
Yeah, it's called Edge of Tomorrow, but yeah, they rechristened it Live, Die, Repeat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, screenplay by his brother, John Henry Butterworth. Worked on all the same films. And David Koepp. So David Koepp is the 9th most successful screenwriter of all time in terms of box office.
Jurassic Park, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this isn't a big one, but Bad Influence, if you remember.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I've
James
actually thought
Spader.
about us doing that.
Yeah. I Come in Peace.
Yeah. I come in peace, and you go in pieces.
Jurassic Park, Carlito's Way, Mission Impossible, Spider-Man, a lot of stuff he did. Also, James Mangold for the screenplay. So this is based on characters created by George Lucas and Philip Kaufman. It is the 5th and final installment.
Question mark?
No.
Final installment.
If this is not the final installment, I don't know how... yeah, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the only one in the series not directed by Spielberg nor conceived by Lucas.
Yeah, they Spielberg wanted to do it, and he ended up backing out of it. And but he gave Mangold his blessing. I think they picked Mangold. They wanted somebody that they wanted to take this over.
And they're both the executive producers on it.
Yeah.
Also not distributed by Paramount since Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm for like $4 billion.
Two things that were really weird watching this movie the other day. So the reason we're doing this movie, it's only been out for a year. We don't do new movies generally, but sometimes we'll throw one in here and there. I wanted to see this in the theaters, never got around to it. I bought the Blu-ray when it came out in like November or December. And every single time that I had the thought to throw it in, I knew the runtime was super long. I knew the reputation wasn't great. And I was like, I don't know when I'm going to get around to this.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, here's the ultimate motivation. We'll do an episode. I'll have to watch it. Two things that were very strange watching it for the first time. The Disney 100 logo comes up first. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just weird. I understand it's like Star Wars now owned by Disney. Number two, the Paramount Mountain doesn't turn to anything in this. And that fucking pissed me off immediately. The Paramount Mountain turns to something in every Indiana Jones movie. In this one, it shows up and I'm like, oh, what's it going to be? And it's just a logo. Nothing. Fuck off with that.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Were you looking forward to this one, Sal?
This episode or this movie?
This movie. When it was, coming out.
When it came out, I was interested. Yeah, I mean, it looked decent. Again, I had never seen Crystal Skull, so I'm not as scarred as everyone else. This alleged movie, but
okay.
So I was interested in it, but I didn't go see it in the theaters.
Yeah.
So not that interested.
So have you seen Crystal Skull at this point?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Purposely, though.
Okay.
Again, does not exist.
Okay. All right.
A lot of people feel that way. So question for you. When do you think plans for this film started?
Well, Crystal Skull. Well, I mean, there were supposed to be 5 from the beginning, I think.
All right. Yeah.
Many, many, many years ago.
So, yeah, 1979.
1979, yeah. Yep.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
That's like 50-something years ago.
No, well, almost, like 40,
almost.
45, yeah.
It's like 50.
45, exactly.
It's the same math you use to determine my age.
72.
What is this film about?
It's the 5th filmed adventure.
5th adventure, yeah.
Indiana Jones. It's
They're trying to find a powerful artifact before someone else does something bad with it.
What is the MacGuffin in every movie?
Yeah.
In this one, it is the Dial of Archimedes, which they refer to in the movie. I can't pronounce it. The Antikythera.
Antikythera?
Antikythera.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's way better than what I said, and actually right. Yeah.
So filming began in June of 2021, and it wrapped in February of 2022. Principal photography started basically at Pinewood Studios in England, location of many, many famous films, Star Wars, James Bond movies,
Batman.
Jurassic Park, Marvel, MCU. Yeah, Batman. And then filmed on location, lots of different places in the UK, England. I love these England places. North Yorkshire, Bamberg Castle, Northumberland.
Stratusford on the Thames.
Buckinghamshire, right? Scotland, Glasgow, Italy, Syracuse, Sicily, and Trapani, and in Morocco, Fez and Ouda.
Oh, Fez is a town?
Fez is a town, apparently, or...
Morocco, home of the fighting unibrows. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. And as with some previous films, visual effects, other than the practical effects, were done by ILM. I guess it had 2,350 special effects shots.
Yeah, and like 90% of them are in the first 18 minutes.
Yeah. And the time fissure with the stormy clouds that looked just like a big anus in the sky.
Big man pussy. Yeah.
Right. So that was entirely through CGI. It looked pretty good. I thought that looked really good.
Buckle in, Dr. Jones. We're going to fly into the man pussy in the sky.
And then one more thing I will mention is the de-aging, which is so popular now in a lot of movies.
Hate it. Can I just say that now? Can I just say that?
Yeah, go ahead.
How did you feel about it?
It doesn't really bother me, but I had already seen it once, so the second time I wasn't really thinking about it as much.
All right. You're like me. You never had seen this before.
No.
Did it take you out of the movie? It took me out of the movie multiple times.
It made me think of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be thinking of it, but now I'm thinking of it and, not paying attention.
Let me ask you a question, see if you agree with me. Is there one part on the face in particular that you felt was the most, they couldn't adapt it correctly? Because I think there's one part.
Oh, really? I don't know. You're talking about like the lip thing?
The eyes. There's two sequences in this movie where they use the de-aging.
Mm-hmm.
The whole first 20 minutes.
Yeah, the train.
The Nazi escape. And then there's the scene where he goes to visit Shaw when Shaw's gone crazy. Indy's older, but they're trying to make him look less older.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it again. And both times it just took me out of this movie because I felt like I was just concentrating on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not being a hater. I'm not like trying to like jump on the bandwagon, but I just don't think that technology, we're ready for it yet. I don't think it's ready yet to focus an entire 20-minute scene on it. You have Indy in the 40s fighting the Nazis. So you have to use Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the need for it. If it was a case where it was like Indy in the 20s or something, I would have said, just hire another actor. Do the River Phoenix thing.
Yeah, right.
Have it be a surprise somebody and go, oh, that's cool. They used him. I get why they did it.
Or the Han Solo guy that they used.
Who's that?
The dude in the Han Solo movie.
In Solo.
Oh, yeah. Aiden Alden.
Please don't.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I just felt like every time something looked bad to me, I immediately dropped out of paying attention to what was happening in the story. And we're in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, see, it didn't bother me as much this. I didn't think about it really this time around. First time I definitely did because you're looking for it, but I really didn't pay attention to it. I was more thrown off by like the other weird special effects.
Okay. All right.
And one more thing I will say, longtime franchise composer John Williams returned to do the score of this, and he did win a Grammy for the best composition for Helena's theme.
I mean, it's
iconic. So
the soundtrack's great.
Yeah.
It's John Williams. It's Indy. You get the Indy theme, multiple times, and he, it's timed correctly. All of the Indiana Jones movies have a lot of fan service, but they all felt built in a real natural way. This one feels like they're like, remember this?
They're playing the hits.
Yeah, they're playing the hits.
Exactly.
And I didn't love that part of it, but
yeah. So that's it for production. Who do we have for the major stars in this?
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
Major stars, you got it. We start off with Harrison Ford playing Henry Jones Jr., Indiana Jones. You know him from The Fugitive. You know him from Frantic. You know him from Witness. His fifth go-around is Indy. In the role of Helena Shaw, who is Indy's goddaughter, we have Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Here's some of her writing credits. She wrote a TV show that's pretty popular on... Go ahead, pop it. Pop it. Oh. She wrote a TV show that's pretty popular called Fleabag.
That was good.
Another show called Killing Eve, which I've heard is a pretty
I've seen
good
both
show.
of those.
She was the showrunner on the first season, which is probably the best season of that.
Killing Eve?
Yeah.
Okay. And she co-wrote No Time to Die, the last James Bond film.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. She also played the voice of L337 in Solo, the
right.
the droid that Lando is probably fucking.
Pansexual.
I like her. I do like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I hate this fucking character. I fucking hate her.
Wow, really?
I hate her. Yeah. She's a shitbag. We'll get into it, but like what she does in the story, she just pisses me off more and more. And her weird relationship with Indy, just, I don't know. She made me mad. I wasn't a fan. Mads Mikkelsen plays Dr. Jürgen Voller, the villain of the piece. You know him from Hannibal, the television show. You know him as Le Chiffre from Casino Royale, the first James Bond movie featuring Daniel Craig. And you also know him from Doctor Strange. Ronaldo is played by Antonio fucking Banderas, who is now older than Lloyd somehow. Antonio Banderas is now fucking 73.
I didn't know he was in the movie, and when the scene came up, like maybe the second or third time I saw him on screen, I'm like, oh, whoa, that's Antonio Banderas.
It takes a second.
Yeah. He's in the top 5 build, but he even admits he's a cameo.
Yeah.
Because he's literally in 10 minutes of the movie. You know him from Desperado, a film that was just recently voted on by our Pint Insiders for us to do next month.
All right.
We'll be doing Desperado in June. The Mask of Zorro, a great film that Lloyd doesn't think is great. And Assassins with Sylvester Stallone. John Rhys-Davies returns as Sala for the 3rd time. You know him from the syndicated television science fiction show Sliders from the 90s. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and in The Living Daylights, another Bond film. We got a lot of Bond stuff going on here. Toby Jones looks like he's a little kid who's an old man, or a midget who's not a midget.
He's Benjamin Buttons.
He's a weird looking fucking dude. He is not a heartthrob. He plays Basil Shaw. He is one of Indy's long friends and collaborators. He was Arnim Zola in Captain America, The First Avenger, and The Winter Soldier. He was in The Mist. He was the grocery clerk.
Oh, he was.
Yeah. And an Atomic Blonde. Let's see. Boyd Holbrook is Kleber. He is he's like the right-hand man for Mikkelsen's character. He was in Logan. He was in The Predator. He was the lead in The Predator.
Yep.
And he was recently, I haven't seen it yet, but he was in the Justified City Primeval.
He was the Corinthian.
He was the Corinthian in Sandman as well, yes.
Yep.
He was also in Narcos, which was really good.
Okay, I've never seen Narcos. That is good?
Yeah.
Okay. I like him. He's wasted in this.
I like him.
He's just like, he's the henchman, but he's never given anything cool to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, when I heard he was in this, I was psyched. I'm like, oh, Boyd Holbrook, I like that guy. And then he's in it, and he's never given anything cool to do. And Karen Allen returns for the 3rd time as Marion Ravenwood. You know her from Animal House. You know her from the Sandlot, and you know her from Starman. So that's your main cast there. Okay, let's get into it. So the year is like 1943 or 4, I think.
4.
It's the end of the war. We're in Berlin, and Indiana Jones has been captured by the Nazis. Okay. And in this whole bit, which is going to lead to a giant action set on a train, Indy and his friend Benjamin Button, Basil Shaw, have gone to Berlin to try to get some antiquities and some other things. The MacGuffin that the movie begins on, what they're looking for is, and this is the second time in like 5 episodes of The Pint where the plot revolves around the Spear of Destiny. We just did Constantine. Me and Laura did Constantine. That's about the Spear of Destiny. The Spear of Destiny is what's being sought after here. But Jürgen Voller, the Mads Mikkelsen character, who is a Nazi scientist, determines that the Spear of Destiny is what, Lloyd?
It's a fake.
It's a fake.
Imposter.
It's an imposter. It's not real. But he discovers that in this whole kind of Nazi encampment that's filled with different antiquities, what is there?
Half of the Dial of Destiny.
One half of how did you say it before? The
Archimedes style?
Yeah, the Antikythera.
Yeah, that's it.
A weird box with some gears.
Got a bunch of gears. In this scene, I thought I saw it, and I read afterwards that it is in it. When they're on the train, and Indy is, after Indy, it's going to take forever to get through everything here, because it's a 2-hour and 34-minute long movie. Indy gets captured, he almost gets hung, he gets away as he does, he ends up on a train with the Nazis, and at one point he's going through some of the antiquities, the fucking holy hand grenade of Antioch from Monty Python and the Holy
Was it in
Grail
there?
is on a shelf next to him when he's looking at stuff in a box. The very, very,
Oh my God.
very recognizable shape. And as I'm watching, I'm going, is that the hand grenade? It is. It is the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So Indy ends up on the train along with the commanding Nazi officer, Dr. Jürgen Voller. And Voller is very much upfront about the fact that he thinks that Hitler's, like, obviously this is the end of the war. Hitler is on the run, about to commit suicide. And Voller basically tells the Nazi commander that, like, he's like, you know, we could still win this thing. We need to use this fucking, what is it? What is it called?
Antikythera?
Antikythera. I'm never going to get that. I'm going to go to you every fucking time for it.
Oh boy.
So we end up with a big action set piece, where the train is going around, you know, this big track and people are up on top. The effects on this bit with the people on top of the train, Sal, what did you think?
It's a little weird. I do enjoy, it's the big opening scene from the beginning, like, especially when he's hanging with the noose and he's like flying around, like, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
You know, less is more sometimes when it comes to special effects, and they went the more is more route.
Master, did you
they
like
went more is more.
Did you like the effect? I did like this effect and also scene element of the giant gun, like, getting jammed and just blasting the fucking train as it's going around that turn.
I kind of liked it, but I don't know. It hit every single person that it was supposed to hit. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just kind of dumb
neat.
after a while. Yeah, it was too neat. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It was
I
too
enjoy
neat.
the
Yeah.
action, but yeah, it was a little too, like, convenient in everything that happened.
Oh, so you were upset that in a Disney movie, like, people weren't getting exploded like blood balloons by a 60 millimeter
Yeah.
bullet.
Oh no, he killed plenty of Nazis. Don't worry.
He did.
But did you like the parts where they're standing on the train and then all of a sudden there's like a low, like a tunnel or something, and then they all have to duck down like any other standing on a train scene in
Yeah.
any other movie ever?
Until it doesn't matter, and then they completely stand up and never turn around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I want to talk about a bit in this beginning of this movie that I just felt was egregious. And again, this is an Indiana Jones movie. We have, in prior movies, talked about the wrath of God. We have talked about, you know, essentially Indian voodooism or whatever you want to call it, spiritual craziness. We have talked about aliens at one point. How does Mads Mikkelsen survive getting hit by that train arm? So if you remember, he corners Indy and Basil and he's about to kill them. And he's hanging off the side of the train. And he essentially gets hit by, like, one of those, I don't know what you call that, like the post or whatever.
It's some kind of post that.
In the fucking face. In the face, going 700 miles an hour. Sal, did that bother you? Like, did it bother you that when in 20 minutes of movie time and we passed by 30 years, he's fucking still alive?
It bothered me more that they never even tried to address it. They never were like, oh yeah, something about at least a scar, something.
Yeah, at least like the Loomis scar on his face after burning to death.
Or like a
in
scene,
Halloween 2.
or a scene where, like, later in the movie, he peels off, like, his face and it's metal and he's like,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
you did this to me, Dr. Jones. Like,
Or at
we
least,
got
like, my
nothing.
face hurts today or something, you know?
No, the only thing he had was like silver hair
Yeah.
up on the top.
Yeah.
That was the only difference.
He basically looks exactly the same.
He looks
Yeah.
the fucking same.
Yeah.
He looks good.
And he was
his age.
de-aged also, by the way.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was.
He just looks the same either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Like, you could have done something like, you know, have you seen Skyfall?
Yeah.
Like when he takes the fucking plate out of his head and his fucking face shrinks down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what M did to him. Like, they could have had a moment like that where it's like, you know, look at my face, Dr. Jones, I'm a fucking freakazoid.
Or
You
at
know?
least, you know, towards the ending when he's, you know, captures Indy or something, like really beat him up or something, like, hey, you hurt my face, I'm going to hurt your face. And just say something. I would
Right.
be a lot more pissed off if that happened to me.
I had such a hard time believing he survived that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They get away with the one half of the dial, and they're rescued by the Allied forces. And then the movie jumps to 1969. And Indy's old as fuck. He's older than Lloyd. At
So
this
wait a
point.
minute, 44 to 69.
25
25 years?
Yeah.
He didn't. He looked like he was 50 years older.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
He's had a rough fucking go.
Yeah.
Well, he says later in the movie I drank Callie's blood. I was shot 9 times, including once by your father. You know, like he goes through the shit. Like, you know, like I blew out my colon having anal sex with a bear. Hold on, I didn't say that out loud. I blew out my rectum plug. So Indy wakes up to the sounds of the Magical Mystery Tour. So we're immediately brought into the fact that we're not in like our normal time anymore.
Yeah.
Even Crystal Skull was in the 50s, right? So
Yeah.
we're almost in 1970. And what day is it, Manster? What's happening on this day?
What is happening? You're talking about when he's teaching on the...
Well, it's
In
a
the
special
lecture?
day.
The moon landing.
It's the moon landing.
Oh, the moon landing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's
Moon
probably
Day.
one of the parts I fell asleep during.
It's Moon Day, Dr.
But
Jones.
it's where they're coming back from the moon, I think, technically.
Yeah.
But-
That's right, 1969. I get it.
We actually get a scene of Indiana Jones going to yell at his neighbors about being too loud.
Yeah.
Like, if you aren't sold on the fact that this is old Indiana Jones, he's got a baseball bat and he's shaking his fist at kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pretty much told him to fuck off.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you, it's moon landing day, dickhead. Like, who cares? So they move on, and he just seems like he's just old and tired. He goes to teach his class, whereas in the first movie, when he's teaching his class, at the height of his good looks and you know, like, adventurous prowess, and the girl, like, is blinking with the, like, I love you written on her eyelids. Instead, now in 1969, the kids are all falling asleep.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit what this old guy has to say about. And of course, he's teaching a lesson about the exact historical time they're going to hit at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, which is just funny. The siege of Syracuse. In his class, he has his old friend Helena Shaw. Phoebe Waller-Bridge shows up, and she's answering questions that the kids can't answer about the Antikythera. Antikythera, the Archimedes dial. Which, Sal, what do they believe it could have done?
It causes fissures in time?
It reads fissures in time.
Oh, okay.
It can tell you where they are.
Sure.
Yeah. So it can tell you like what the location of a fissure.
Oh, right.
is.
Yeah. It gives you coordinates so you
Coordinates.
can create, go through these portals.
Butthole.
Yeah.
The
Sky buttholes.
sky butthole.
But how do they know it's going to take them to when they want it to be?
Well,
You got to just kind of go with that.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
And they don't actually, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Because all roads lead to the same place.
now in the ensuing time from World War II, somehow, and this happened in real life, but Nazis escaped and made it to America, made it to South America. Jürgen Voller has made it to America, and I didn't write down. He's adopted a whole new name. And somehow he's become the head of the fucking Apollo program.
Of course.
Yeah, but that's actually like he's based on a guy, Werner von Braun, who like helped develop the Saturn V rocket
Oh, really?
for the Apollo 11, the whole Apollo missions.
Are you telling me our space program was invented by Nazis?
It wasn't
Nazi?
invented, but it was. There was definitely some help from the Nazis.
Fuck.
And yeah, the guy who was in charge is, for a point, he was
Damn
hand to the
Nazis.
I don't want to tell you that, but
You fucking ruined my night.
sorry.
Fuck. All right.
All right, podcast over.
Yeah, really. Let's quit.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
I bought this guy pizza. He comes and tells me that our space program's built on fucking Nazis.
Well, yeah, there was like a whole operation about bringing people over from Germany. who
You
were
watch
Nazis.
documentaries, don't you, Sal?
Well, I am kind of a like old space nerd, so that's how I know some of this stuff. And I did read that it was like Operation Paperclip or something, but I don't know the details of it.
But you just don't want to admit them here. You
No,
don't-
I knew about the space stuff, but not about the rest of the operation, what they did with it.
All right.
But I mean,
the
have
Antikythera.
you seen Oppenheimer?
No.
Oh,
no,
well.
I have not.
Spoiler alert, it involves Nazis.
Fuck. It's fucking Nazis. All right. So, Voller is in America. He is the head of the Apollo 11 program. Our entire space race has been funded and designed on the scientific computations of Nazis. We learn this now.
Not all of it.
And Indy, we kind of find out in dialogue later on, but let's just get to it now. He's lost everything, right? He's lost everything. They Jar Jar Binks Shia LaBeouf out of this series by sending him to Vietnam and killing him off, right? And that's his son. And in the interim, Manster, what happened to Marion?
Marion left him.
Yeah, she was so encased in her grief
Yeah.
that she couldn't deal with it anymore, so she left him. Indy gets involved with Helena, who brings Indy back to the idea of, my father's work. Her father was Basil, Benjamin Button. And
Didn't seem like that character would have had a daughter like that.
what, like
She was like 3 feet taller than him.
like a 3 foot taller, attractive woman
with brown hair.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I mean.
yeah. He looks like a garbage pail kid.
Yeah, I'm not sure what
In adult
he
clothes.
mated with.
Yeah. They never showed his wife in the movie, but it was Christy Brinkley circa 1983. Uptown girl. I've been fucking up an uptown girl. I'm only 3 feet tall. Toby Jones, weird looking dude. So his daughter, kind of like in the guise of like continuing her father's work, tricks Indy into helping her find the half of the Antikythera that they had brought back from that train ride in World War II. As soon as they find it, and Voeller's people are also looking for it, and they're tracking Indy at this point. As soon as they find it in like the storage unit library thing, I don't know what the fuck it was, she pulls the Anne Hathaway Catwoman on Christian Bale Batman thing, where she like locks him in the room with the bad guys. Remember when she did that to him with Bane?
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, shuts the door and is just like looking at him through the door like,
It's like, sorry.
you are fucked. And she does that to Indy, and Indy's like, Helena, what are you doing? And this is the point right here where I immediately dislike this character. Here's the character's arc, and I'll run it through, even though we're going to talk about the movie, I'll run it through the movie. She's just a selfish fuckface who is in it for money. And as the movie goes along, even though Indy tries multiple times through the movie, she continuously shows that she's just selfish and in it for the money. And then because they had to at the end, she saves him and she ends up in his good graces. Am I wrong?
Did we even mention that he is her godfather?
He's her godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a cute little wombat. He's got a cute little nickname for her and everything.
Wombat, right.
Shoot to the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, she's in Indy's life in a good, positive fashion.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel that it was earned? I never felt like it was earned with her.
No. I mean, he even wanted to stay, in Syracuse, and she knocked him out and brought him back.
I get that. She does what she thinks is the right thing for him at that point.
Yeah.
But I still feel like I never saw the point where she got to the point where she would have cared enough. Did you?
Well, she saw Back to the Future, and she's like, "Oh, you'll interrupt this space-time continuum.
You're gonna turn the
She's
lone.
like, I don't care about you.
You're gonna turn the Lone Pine Mall into the Twin Pine Mall.
Right, exactly.
Fucking old fuck.
Biff is going to be president."
The dark future of Back to the Future 2. Her character bothered me in this movie, and it wasn't her performance or anything. I don't know, man. I felt like it was like a lot of this movie was just elder abuse. She just fucking fucks Indy over left and right.
Yeah.
So she gets away with the Antikythera. Indy ends up getting away from the Nazis, or the neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them at this point. But they kill a couple of his friends and coworkers at the college. So now he's wanted for murder. Don't worry about that plot line. It disappears.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It does not matter. Now this is an indie film that starts to do the old indie film thing where it kind of jumps around, Morocco and to here and to there. They go to Morocco. And when they get to Morocco, she has set up a auction to sell off the Antikythera. Because again, all she cares about is money. Did either of you guys notice that Borat was one of the guys that was going to buy the Antikythera?
Oh, shit. I didn't see it.
Did see that?
You did see
Yes.
that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like this room full of action adventure 40s movies or 60s movies, archetypes. Like there's the Sultan, and then there's one guy who's fucking Borat.
Yeah, he's in a great suit.
He's in a great suit.
Oh, man.
Hey, my wife would like this. I'll give you my iPad mini. It's fucking ridiculous.
This movie bored the hell out of me. I don't think I noticed much of anything.
Okay. So, playing his cards early. So Indy shows up and, they kind of get into it a little bit. Now, I want to mention this scene because as we talked about before, Sala had jumped into the movie at one point. He helps Indy get out of the country. But of course, if you're going to do the greatest hits of Indiana Jones, you can't leave short round out of it. But since we don't have a short round, we get this is going to be mean, but we get like a 12-year-old Moroccan kid who's got a
mustache?
He's got a mustache and a unibrow. He literally looks like he's in the third, like in the old style Universal horror movies when someone would change to a werewolf. It would be like
look like him.
It would be like the human, and then it would fade into 3 versions. He was like number 3.
Right.
Like, like just kind of like, but he's also like 12 years old.
And he's also practicing how to fly a plane in this, whatever bar.
Which is
it makes no sense at all.
It makes no sense at all until it has to at the end. And it still makes no sense as to like, so this kid sits at a fucking table.
Teddy is his name.
Teddy.
Yeah.
He sits at a fucking table.
Talking to a pilot.
And then he's adjusting like these gears that he's made out of like, I don't know, fucking bottles and cans and just clap your hands. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But jump ahead to the end, he flies a fucking plane.
Yeah, like, through a wormhole.
Right.
Well, he gets help from the guy who happens to be sleeping in the plane too.
He fucking does.
Fuck that guy.
So anyway, so they have to escape. And did you guys notice something about this movie? Harrison Ford, in real life, was, I think, 83 when this was made. So again, I understand we can't have like a real raucous action adventure. Did you notice that most of the action set pieces in this movie are chases? The chase through the ticker tape parade on the horse and the motorcycle.
Yeah, the motorcycle.
This is a chase on a motorcycle through Morocco. Like, it just seems like they're like, he can't run, he can't fight.
Did you see him? He runs at the beginning of that scene, and it's like, okay, we got to pick it up, Indy. Like, you're not going to catch him.
Again, I'm not making fun of Harrison Ford. I'm just commenting on what I saw. His legs are like fucking totally bowed. Like, that's how old it is. The calcium has
rounded his
legs out. Because there's just, he's not getting
he looks
enough.
like parentheses when he...
Indiana Jones in the parentheses of his legs. So we get a chase scene through Morocco, and that leads us to Spain somehow. The Nazis are always one step behind. When we get to Spain, we meet up with Antonio Banderas, who is Spain's greatest frogman, which I didn't know there was a ranking. Maybe it's on ESPN 8. I don't know, but Spain's greatest frogman. And they determined...
You never saw that TV show, Frogman?
Frogman, no.
They got different ones.
Los Frogmenos. Him and Helena determine, even though she's still being a shitbag and has her own reasons, they're kind of working together to find the second half of the Antikythera. They determined that the second half is probably on a sunken Roman ship, right? At one point, they determined this. So
exactly where it is.
Wasn't the first half in the ship, and then they had to go deeper because there was another lower portion?
No, the first half was in the library. He was hiding it.
He had it, and then they had that little wax tablet thing that they had to get at the bottom of the ocean to tell them where the other half of the gearbox is.
Another action sequence with some like eels and stuff.
Yeah, this is like
this movie.
They just wanted to make a snake joke, so they're like, we have to have eels.
Yeah,
but first of all, why is Antonio Banderas in this movie? Secondly, he's the greatest frog diver, whatever. But then when they go down with him too, and he does exactly as good a job.
I thought the same thing. And
they were going to bring the kid down. Right. Like, you're not coming. It's like, would you be like, hey, maybe the kid stays up here?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought if he's the greatest frog diver, why is 84-year-old Indiana Jones going to the bottom of the ocean with him?
Because he was 82.
Yeah, Indy, I am only 2 years younger than you. Even though I am the greatest there is, you're like, I don't know, 6th or 7th. Why don't you come down with me? We fight the eels. It is so fucking dumb. That it just didn't work, that scene. It didn't work. While they're underwater, the Nazis show up. I actually like the filming of this scene where they see the boat coming and like kind of like the action happening from underneath the water. The Nazis take over and they steal fucking Unibrow. And they take off with Unibrow. So now Helena... Because Unibrow, we didn't really mention it, is Helena's short round. She has her own short. Everybody in the Indiana Jones universe has a 12-year-old kid that they use for fucking dangerous missions.
But yeah, they don't steal him. They hold them all hostage, and then Indy and Helena escape with him too.
Right.
And remember they blow up the boat with dynamite. Yet somehow these guys all stay there, and yet when they get back to land, the Nazis still find them like instantly. I'm like, how? My biggest question: how the hell did they get off that boat? You're in the middle of the ocean. Do they, cell phone?
Yeah, I don't know, because they also kill Antonio Banderas, right?
Yeah, they kill Antonio Banderas, and she gives them the information about where the thing is, and then she lights the dynamite, blows up, doesn't kill anyone, but messes up the boat, and then they leave
and they escape.
And they escape with everyone, but he sees the direction they're going, so he knows exactly where to find them.
I do like a couple lines of dialogue on that Spanish boat. I do like when he tells Helena, she knows, but when he explains to her as the audience, like, what happened to Mutt, and his son died and then his wife left. I like that little bit because up until this point, like, you're only feeling bad for Indiana because he's old. You don't really know the story behind everything yet. And this is where he tells that.
Right. And I thought that scene is done well.
It is done well. And the other scene that's done well is when she is being her usual shit self. And after they kill Banderas, she says something and he's like, they just murdered my friend. Like, he is at the point where he's old enough to be, he's looking at it from a life perspective, and she's just talking about riches, and I like that. There are bits in this, jump ahead a little bit, just because who cares? It's a time traveling movie, so we can time travel through the plot. But I'm not gonna lie, and you might laugh at me or not. I cried at the last scene with Indiana and Marion. We did the Caddyshack episode recently, which is probably coming out after this, and a lot of the talk about that was nostalgia. And no matter how I felt about this movie, the first time I ever saw Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood, I was like 4 or 5 years old, right? So to see them as old people and kind of getting back together and just, it got me. I will admit. I'm not talking fucking tears of I wasn't no.
You were choked up.
No, I was choked up. Tears came out of my face. I felt this moment of these two characters that I've always cared for have found each other again. So the movie does do some of that stuff pretty well. Now we end up in Greece, I think. Are we at the Parthenon? Is that the Parthenon?
I don't know if it actually was, but they're in Greece.
They're in Greece. The Nazis show up.
And that's when they kidnap Teddy.
Is that when they get Teddy?
He just goes for a walk and they just find him standing there. It didn't even seem like they were looking. They just knew he was going to come over to this dark corner.
So they end up going into the Cave of Dionysus. This is where we get the greatest hits of, especially almost like Last Crusade, where it's we have to find
You get the big millipedes.
Not even just that, but the water displacement, put this in here, put that in there. He's got to figure out the things kind of at the end of Last Crusade. The echo chamber.
Yeah.
They're putting all the things together. And then you're right. We get the useless scene of them walking through the cave with all the creepy crawlies. That is literally just going, remember all these scenes from the prior film? Remember how he hates bugs? If you're going to do that, why didn't you make it snakes?
Where did this, I was waiting for snakes.
There's a tarantula. There was, the millipedes and everything. But literally, as long as it's not snakes. And then the next part of the chamber is all snakes. Well, fuck. No, we don't even get that.
No.
As they go a little bit further.
Is this where they get the watch?
Well, they go further. They find Archimedes' tomb. And they open it up. And this is where they get the second half of the
Antikythera.
They get the second half of it. And they find on the tomb, first of all, on the tomb, they find a engraving of something with propellers.
Yeah, right? Like a phoenix.
A phoenix, but with propellers. Why would there be propellers in 214 BC? They also find a wristwatch on this motherfucker. Where does the wristwatch end up coming from, Master?
From
the
German dude.
Jagenvola?
Yeah.
The Germans.
Well, you'll see that later in the movie.
Yeah. So
also, I think Darth Vader's helmet, is it there?
Was it there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were serious. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
That would have been cool. That would have made my grade a lot higher.
C-3PO.
Yeah. C-3PO's red arm.
Human-cyborg relations. Shut up. Nobody likes you fucking asshole. Don't show up in this franchise. So they find it, and then, of course, the Nazis find them immediately. I have heard a couple people say, that whole Raiders joke about how, everything would have happened without Indiana. the Nazis find everything just by following him. So again,
Yeah, it's worse because he leads them
to everything this time.
Yeah.
In the scuffle, I will give Teddy Unibrow some big balls credit when he drowns that giant German dude. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
And you think he's gonna come back or something, but they're just like, no.
And that dude's screaming like a girl because he's gonna die. He's handcuffed to a fucking like a cage underwater, and he's just like. Like Teddy's like, eat my unibrow, cocksucker. Eat my 12-year-old dick. So they end up back up top, and in the scuffle, there's a scuffle, of course. Kleber, the useless Boyd Holbrook character, shoots Indy in the shoulder. And then essentially from this point forward, just imagine an Indiana Jones movie where he does nothing action-wise in the entire last 20 minutes of the movie. Because that's what you're going to get. We end up on a plane, and we end up with Teddy flying a real plane based on his practice with bottles
beer
and cans
cans
and beer cans, clapper hands. So it's this big scene where Voller is going to use the Antikythera to find the time-traveling butthole in the sky. That's a good Journey song, too. Time-traveling butthole in the sky. How do you think I be doing? So the idea is, Manster, do you remember? I'll ask you, because I know that you fell asleep in this movie 100 times.
Yes.
Do you remember where he wants to go and what his plan is?
I believe he wants to go to the end of World War II and change history.
By doing what?
By something with Hitler.
It's big. What does this Nazi want to do to the biggest Nazi?
Because he wants to kill Hitler.
He wants to kill Hitler because
so he
keeps
can
saying
change the course of history.
He keeps saying throughout the whole movie, you didn't win the war.
See, I remembered something.
You didn't win the war. We just lost it, right? And he's very critical of Hitler through the whole thing.
Yeah.
We never find out why the people who follow him are following him. But Kleber and everything. But I guess the best way to put it is they're probably 1960s neo-Nazis. They existed then too. So his idea is he's going to use the Antikythera to travel through the butthole of time. Somehow he knows it's going to take him to the exact time in 1939.
Except he forgot the continental drift.
Indy figures it out. Continental drift.
Well, it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah,
so.
it doesn't matter.
Right. So he basically tells him, and I do like the fact, though, that he gets in Voller's head. Because, Voller's all triumphant. They're about to fly into the butthole of fucking time. and he's like, you forgot continental drift. And, what? And he's like, they didn't have it back then. They figured it out in 1922.
You're going to hit the taint.
You're going to hit the taint. You think you're going right for the fucking split cheek, but you're going to hit you're going to hit that little sweet spot right between the ass and the puss. And Voller's like, he's right. We're going to hit the ass puss. And he freaks out and he's like, turn the fucking plane around. And of course the pilots are like, it's sucking us in. The asshole of time is sucking us in. So they get sucked in.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because all roads lead to
the time that Indiana was teaching about somehow.
212 BC or something.
The time with the Romans with the best aim ever.
Yeah. So they end up in 213 or 214 BC during the siege of Syracuse, Roman armies attacking Greece, or Sicily. This part of the movie, which I knew was coming, I knew the plot of this movie without having seen it. I had read about it. I've got to admit, I thought this was going to be, to me, super cringeworthy. I actually like this part. Because you got to give yourself up in this movie, right? Again, the wrath of God in one of these movies, aliens in another. So time travel is just as goofy as any of those things. I like them going back in time. Sal, what did you think? I thought that whole sequence was pretty good.
I don't hate it. It's more the execution of how it was done, again, with the build-up and the continental drift and all this stuff. I had already seen it, and I sort of forgot about it. So I happened, oh yeah. But I had forgotten about the quote-unquote twist, because there's all this other stuff in there that it almost gets lost, that you're going to the same point no matter what. I feel like they kind of got a little complicated getting there. And it just bothers me how they fly this plane through, and then all of a sudden, every single spear that's fired gets in the plane. Doesn't hit the kid in the small plane, but, they're just taking shot after shot. There's one guy standing in the cargo door of the plane, gets straight through him. It's like, where are these guys?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Why were all those Nazis on the Bombay doors when she gets on and she opens the Bombay doors and
they
drops
just
all
drop
of them?
out.
Like,
they all drop.
wouldn't somebody when you get on a plane tell you not to stand there? I would, even if I was on a plane with a bunch of other Nazis and we were like friend Nazis, I would be wary of standing on something that can open up in the middle of the sky.
Right.
And there's like 20 of them, and she walks on and she's like, "Ooh, gentlemen." And my first thought is like, this is a Disney movie. They're going to rape the fuck out of her. Like a bunch of fucking guy Nazis. Like, and all of a sudden this woman shows up. That doesn't happen, thank God. But they're all standing on the fucking cargo doors. And she just hits a button and kills them all very easily. She gets into a fight with a Nazi. Indiana kills the Nazi and then saves her by putting a parachute on, and they parachute down to Sicily, where they land and immediately meet Archimedes.
Don't get hit by any spears.
Don't get hit by any spears at all. What are the Master, do you remember what the Syracusians think that the plane is?
Yeah, they're dragons.
Dragons.
I kind of, I liked the sort of twist of, they think they're flying into World War II, but they fly into this battle. I thought it was kind of interesting. And then there is a scene where you can see Archimedes inside actually working on creating the dial.
Right.
And he looks up and he looks out the window and he sees the planes. And there's just like this moment of he already knows.
Yeah, he knows.
Just in that one flash, like, oh shit, I haven't even invented this yet. But here it is coming back.
Right. Well, what does he say right when he meets Indy? What does he ask him? Like the first thing.
It worked.
And not
Did
just
it
at work, but like, where are you from?
Oh, okay.
Like, he knows 2,000 years in the future.
Because, the dial in the plane crash, all the guys dead on fire, the dial with all these sensitive gears, 100% fine.
It was
doesn't
fine.
even have a speck of dust on it.
Well, let's be completely honest, right? The plane does crash. We see Voller and Kleber right before they hit the ground, like looking at each other. Mikkelsen, Voller's body is just like in the field, like he would have been wrapped around something. So as bad as the dial should have been, he should have been like fucking a blood bag, and he's just like kind of like laying there looking all good, like Mads Mikkelsen does. Now we get to the very end, and Helena now is like full team Indy because he saved her life multiple fucking times. But then they start to like talk about like getting back. Teddy lands because he knows how to land a plane too.
Well, again, he's got the guy who's sleeping in there.
The guy does help him, but they
Thank
don't speak
God,
the
the
same.
guy's well rested.
But they don't speak the same language. But the guy helps him.
They're
fly.
pilots. They just look in each other's eyes.
Is that what it is? Is it like Pacific Rim? They're in the drift.
Yes.
Yeah. But Sal, Indy, he doesn't want to go back, right?
No, he wants to stay there and hang out, I guess.
He's here's a part of this movie that I feel conflicted as to whether I like it or not. I kind of get why he wants to stay. He's got nothing left at home, and his whole life is history.
What did he say? There's like nothing left for me
Nothing
there?
left for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, look around. We're watching history. His whole life has been chasing history.
Yep.
And now he's in history. I wanted him to stay. Did you want him to stay?
Yeah, I want him to stay.
The thing is, he's always like, oh, it belongs in a museum, and he's very like precious with everything, and I kind of like, I feel like staying there is almost like contradictory to that attitude. I understand, oh, I want to stay or I don't care, just go, leave me, but it seemed a little contradictory of him to want to stay and like fuck up history.
That part I understand. Again, the Back to the Future, Lone Pines, Twin Pines thing, I do get that. He's going to stay. She knocks him out.
And he was going to die anyways if he stayed, so.
He was only shot in the shoulder.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Archimedes would have sucked that out. He would have sucked that bullet out with his fucking cock-sucking lips. He would have sucked that right out. They apparently, they don't show it, but they must get back on the plane and fly through the butthole of time.
Yeah.
Because he wakes up in his bed the next day.
In reverse.
And we get the scene where, like Sala and his grandkids come over and, fucking.
So he did have someone.
He has a family, and part of his family.
I mean, they probably feel pretty shitty because they're like, this guy said doesn't give a crap about us. He says, I don't have anything, but.
What am I, Indy? Nothing? He now has to adopt all of Banderas' kids and grandkids because he got that guy killed. And Helena is there now, and they're in good terms again. I just don't like her character. I didn't like her at all. And then Marion shows up, and we get the scene where, she basically just, they're in love. They're still in love, and she's willing to give it another chance. I gave it a tear or two. And the movie ends on a note that I felt I felt was perfect until something happens at the end. The hanging up of the hat. Like, we see the hat on a clothesline outside, and then, like, the reverse spotlight goes in on it, and I thought, that's pretty perfect. Like, the term hanging up your hat. It's over. Mm-hmm. But then, like, he reaches out and grabs it, and I'm like, fuck. Because, like, to me, that almost feels like saying one of two things. Like, I've got another one in me in 2 years, which he certainly does not. Or maybe on the other point is something Harrison Ford himself has been very candid about, is like, as long as I'm alive, nobody else is Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like look at it that way. It's like maybe he's taking the hat saying, don't bother with this until I'm gone. Let's talk about the box office.
Hey, sing it! Baby, I got your money. Sing it, girls! I said, hey, just sing it right now! Baby, I got your money.
Box office. So the budget of this, it said 295 to 387. So I'm assuming that's with like promotion.
Has to be.
Yeah.
It lost $143 million for Disney.
Yeah. So this is a big failure. So the opening weekend, it was number one that weekend at 60.3, but domestically made a total of 174 million and worldwide 384, which isn't even up to the budget. They said 600 million is what this thing would have had to make to be considered, a success.
People will lump these movies in with like Star Wars, stuff like that. But the truth is it does not have that cross-generational appeal as Star Wars. Partially because a lot of it takes place in the past. And I think a lot of, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel this way. I think a lot of kids in today's day and age don't give a fuck about the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. It's... To be honest, I don't give a fuck about this movie.
That's the next segment.
Yeah.
That's the next segment.
Yeah. All right. No, that's it.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah. I'll give you the top 5 that weekend. Transformers Rise of the Beast, number 5. No Hard Feelings, where a naked Jennifer Lawrence battles some kids in a beach.
I watched that. It's not a terrible movie.
Pretty fun. Number 4. Spider-Man Across the Universe. What'd you think?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse.
Still have not seen it yet.
Spider-Verse. Oh, you didn't? Okay.
That was really good.
Yeah, here it is.
Yep. Number 3. Number 2 was Elemental. Number 1 was Dial of Destiny.
Let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 to 5. 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half skill optional. Lloyd, what do you give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny?
0.0.
Oh, you don't give it a 0. I don't believe
No,
you.
I don't give anything a 0. All right. Honestly, I mean, it was a little interesting. It was a little boring. It was kind of nostalgic. It was very formulaic. I don't think it offered anything new. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's an end, I think, that is expected, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan like everybody else in the world seems to be. I like it enough, but this movie to me is just meh. So I'm going to 2.0. 2.25.
2.25.
Yeah, 2.25.
Kevin Salvatore, which I've never called you Kevin before, but I think it's important for people out there to know that you have a real first name. It's not just Sal. What do you give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny?
Well, I know we bagged on it a lot, and there's definitely a lot to criticize, but I also think it had high expectations to meet, which it was probably never going to happen. I haven't seen Crystal Skull to feel better in comparison, so I'm only comparing to the first 3. Again, things I enjoyed. I enjoyed a lot of the action stuff. A lot, special effects I think were a little too much at times. I actually liked the Helena character. I thought she was at least something a little interesting, but I understand her character wasn't properly developed. Like the points are there, but I didn't enjoy her. I thought Teddy was all right. So that being said,
Teddy's a Moroccan wolf man.
I didn't hate it. It was entertaining. I'll give it a 2.75.
All right. I told you, Sal, before we were recording that that I saw this movie a couple days ago, and I've been thinking about it a lot, because when I watched it initially, I was really just like, because so many people and friends and other people I knew were like, this is better than Crystal Skull. And I don't know if that's true or not. Like, we did Crystal Skull a few years ago. We did a triple T. I think we both gave it a tolerable, because we thought it was better than the trash reputation, but it's definitely not a good movie. Comparatively, a lot of people were like, oh, this is right up there with like some of the better Indiana Jones movies. I ain't fucking playing with that. The Helena character bothered me for a couple of reasons. I felt like she was just a shitbag character.
No, she's a flea bag.
She's a flea bag. Not that you can't have a character who is selfish and but she just like, it just seemed like it took advantage of an older guy, a friend of her dad's. And I felt like there was a lot of the movie, like very much like with Crystal Skull, where it felt like they were setting up LaBeouf's character to be the next hero in line, and it wouldn't have worked. I felt like a lot of this movie was like trying to set her up to be the next, like if they were going to do another one, it's going to be her.
Yeah.
And how can I be behind her? She never gets a real moment where you believe she's seen the error in her ways. It just seems like, oh, I saved Indy's life, so now I'm a good person. Hold on, you fucking get the wild hogs out there. You just feel like she suddenly sees the error of her ways. Like, oh, I saved Indy, so I deserve to be, a liked character. And I just didn't feel it. I hated the facial CGI in the beginning. It was fucking terrible. I'll take that back. It works when it wants to work, but it works less than it should.
I had more of a problem with, like, in the tuk-tuk chase and some of the other, street chases, you could clearly tell it was, like, sped up. The action just was weird.
The train scene in the beginning, when they're on top of the train, was clearly CGI. And when they're walking and it's like a long shot,
it's weird.
Very CGI. I just, like, that didn't work. And then, like, kind of the fan servicey stuff in it. These movies always had that in it, and it always worked for me. The scene in Last Crusade was like, oh, that's the Ark of the Covenant. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure. Like, that's great. It's one quick thing. It's a throwback, and you're like, oh, cool. And this one, it's like, when I drank the blood of Kali, and then, he's just hitting them all. The crawl through the buggy fucking chamber and everything. I'm just like, I get it. You're doing your last one, so you want to hit all the notes again, but I don't really need that, and I don't think the fans really need that. I don't know, man. You were at a 225, you're at 275. I'm at a 2.5. Like, right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. And just to get back on something we talked about earlier and didn't really jump back on again, we talked about it at the very beginning. 234? No reason for this movie to be 234.
Yeah, it's definitely too long, and I think if it was at least a half hour shorter and they cut out some just pointless stuff in there, I mean, I think like you could probably cut out the whole Antonio Banderas thing. I probably would, I think benefit a lot.
Why do you think they should cut me out? Do you think I am, even at 72 years old, not sexy anymore?
They just needed to make the eels joke, basically.
I'm here for an eels joke.
All for the eels.
They're paying me $2 million for 2 days of work and an eel joke.
They needed another old guy so Harrison Ford didn't feel so bad.
But Antonio Banderas,
he's not that old.
He's not that old.
No.
I think they definitely like fucking powdered his hair up a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely accelerated his age.
Yeah, could they have not found an actor who is like 15 years older than Antonio Banderas?
My question is, did the Salah character not, like, he couldn't do more?
I thought the same thing.
I don't know if he just wasn't actually able to.
I felt like either he wasn't able to physically, maybe something, like with the actor, John Rhys Davies, or like the idea that like they showed he has all these grandkids and stuff is like he's anchored. He doesn't want to, like, because he says at one point, he's like,
he wants to go.
Oh, he's like, I dream of the desert. I dream of the sea. That was a great line.
Yeah.
Like, that was a good line.
He's like, get me away from these kids.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, my wife wants me to go fucking grocery shopping tomorrow. I will go to Nazi Germany with you, Indiana Jones. I will fight the Fuhrer.
Yeah.
2.5. So none of us got to a 3 at this thing. I own the Blu-ray, so at some point in my life, I'll probably throw it in again. Maybe I'll be, as you said, maybe a little less critical of it. But first time watch, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't go to see this in the theaters because it probably would have been like a 2. There would have been a little bit more anger.
Yeah. And I think in the second viewing, you're not as, you know where everything's going and you're less kind of thinking about all these things like the CGI and what the hell any of this means.
Yeah. Oh,
I will never see it again.
Yeah, I'm going to make you watch it again.
No, I'll never watch it again.
We're going to do another episode on
As a
this.
matter of fact, if I had to choose, I would pick Crystal Skull to watch it again before this one.
I'm not going to say which one right at this point here, but I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm still surprised at some of our friends that are podcasters that were like so high on this one and so low on Crystal Skull. I think that at the best, they're probably at best right on the same level.
Right.
Like this one is not like, oh boy, it's light years better than Crystal Skull. That is not true.
Nope.
That is not true at all. And Crystal Skull had the benefit of a 15-year younger Harrison Ford who still could, like, you know, we made our jokes. We try to be like a funny podcast, but he looks old, you know, and I get it. He is old. So I know that I sound like contradictory. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's obvious that he's, 84 years old at points in this movie. Yeah. So, all right. Go check Sal out over at Robert Barron's Inc. INK.com for the coolest t-shirts, pop culture, cool food stuff, cool political stuff. Go check them out. Order t-shirts. Go check them out all summer long as they hit the con tour of Terrificon, Kineticon, CT Horror Fest. Are you doing Retro World Expo?
Retro World Expo, Springfield Comic-Con. We're out there. Come find us. Say hi.
Say hi. Ask for funk.
Find us on all your podcatchers on Facebook and YouTube. It's The Pint, a pop culture podcast on Instagram and Threads. It's at The Pint Podcast. And to become a Patreon Pint Insider, go to www.patreon.com/The Pint. See ya.
Bottles and cans. Just clap your hands.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!